Good evening, future Pelicans, and welcome to Pelican Talks. Of course, Pelican Talks is a UWI Mona application assistance information session. My name is Tashika Taylor. I am the acting assistant registrar for student recruitment, and we are so excited that you could join us today and that you chose to take this time to join us today. We'd love to know where you're joining us from, so drop your flags in the chat, drop your country's name, drop your schools in the chat. In this edition of Pelican Talks, we will look at general application requirements. We will be looking at international or study abroad opportunities, and we will be looking at financing options for your degree. You will also get your questions answered live this evening. So be prepared to drop them in the chat. All right. Our chat moderators this evening are Mrs. Primrose Brown, Mr. Rowan Thompson, and Ms. Herman Terrell. So be sure to type your questions in the chat and look and listen for that response to your question or questions. All right. As you may know, the UWI Mona, or the University of the West Indies, is ranked among the top 1.5% of best universities in the world. We are the Caribbean's number one university, and of course, we are the number one university in Jamaica. All right. We have over 300 program options for you to choose from. We also have a robust out of classroom learning experience, including study abroad opportunities and other opportunities, which of course you will hear a little more about a little bit later in the program. At UWI, we offer you the complete university experience. And this evening, we will give you just a glimpse into what that means. All right. We will be starting with where the money will come from to finance your studies. Because a lot of times we do understand that this is often very high on the list of reasons why you worry about your university education. So we will have our manager from the Office of Student Finance, Ms. Carisha Larmon, who will look a little bit at financing your degree. We'll then dive into the options for studying abroad as a UWI Mona student. And I must tell you, future Pelicans, this is an exciting portion. So you want to listen out for this, all right? This will be done by Mr. Jamani Dunn. He's the Assistant Registrar for Student Affairs. And finally, we will have the Senior Assistant Registrar for Student Affairs, who will share all you need to know about applying to the UWI Mona. So that entire application process, all the questions that you may have in relation to that, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen will be here to answer those questions for you. As a reminder, applications are now open, but please beware, applications won't be open forever. All right. So applications actually close on January 31st. So the 31st of this month, applications will be closed. All right. So ensure you go online, you apply. As a reminder, applications are free of cost. It is completely free to apply. You will apply at mona.ue.edu/apply. And of course, one of our moderators will be sure to drop that in the chat for you. So you'll have that. All right. Now, without further ado, let us dive right into Pelican Talks. Ms. Carisha Larmon will now share with you about some of the financing options for your UWI education. Ms. Larmon?
Hi, future Pelicans. Welcome, wherever you are this evening. I'd just like to welcome you to Pelican Talks, UWI Mona Pelican Talk, right? And so as we begin to think about coming to university, I really want us to think about it from a financial perspective. So you'll get so many perspectives here today. But as we start this talk with you, as our future Pelicans, wanting to come to the UWI Mona, I want us to think about financing our future. So you want to think about financing your future, right? And so with financing our future, there are many things that we need to think about. So financing your education at UWI takes on a lot of different things. Sometimes persons think about it's only the tuition, but there's so many other costs. And so we're going to quickly go through them today with you, as well as we're going to ensure that you understand the different options available to you when financing, right? So let us look at some of those costs to consider. So first, you consider the tuition, right? Then if you're a student who will be coming to campus, you also need campus daily. You'll also need to think about transportation. But if you're going to live on campus, you're thinking about accommodation with that tuition. Or if you live near campus where you'll be walking, you also need to think about accommodations. We all have to eat. So we're going to think about meals, and meals from the perspective of meals. While you're here on campus, you want to shop, you want to buy things while you're here, and you're thinking about groceries and those things. And so as we delve into it, we also want to look at books and other miscellaneous things that will happen or will come up. Some of those miscellaneous, sometimes, we need to buy medication, we need to have other support things that will help us on our journey here and to make us comfortable as well. So those are the costs to consider. So 6 major costs that you're considering. First thing, before you even think about, anything else in coming to UWI, you want to think about tuition, transportation, accommodation, meals, books, and any other miscellaneous things that will happen. We also ask you to speak with your parents, right? Ensure that they understand what it takes to bring you through university upon entering and your 3 or 4 years or 5 years while you're here. So as we think about these things, we also want to think about our options. What are some of the options that are available to me so that I can finance these costs that are associated with my tertiary level education? So we have at the Office of Student Financing, we have scholarships and bursaries. We have general financial assistance program. We also, if you're a student who is a green card holder or, a U.S. citizen as well, we have a U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid program that you can come to us and we speak more about it and see if you're eligible and can get funding. We also provide financial guidance in this office. So as we go and we think about all these things, we also want to say, okay, how are these things available? What are the periods that I can apply for them? And so the application period for our scholarship and bursary application is really from May 1 to June 31st each year, right? And so I have put on the screen a little help for you, those of you who can scan this, the application form. This is a 2024-2025 application form. But what I always say to students, especially incoming students, you want to know what the application form entails. So you want to ensure that you scan the form, scan this, look at all the requirements for the scholarship application and start put those things in place. We want to also look at when we do come into the university, how is it that I can get other help? So when you apply for scholarships and grants, scholarships and bursaries, there are other help that you can get through our general financial assistance program. And that goes throughout the year, every semester. So it opens in September and it goes to November. Sometimes we also extend it to December based on the needs of our students. We also open in January and then we close off in April. And the closing time is normally in tandem with exams. So some of the things that our general financial aid helps with is really groceries, meal vouchers, a cash grant, and book grant. So when you are a student and you come in, you will go through orientation and we will tell you more about this. You will scan this application for this QR code to the application form and you get into it and ensure that you apply. Once you are a registered student, you can apply to get assistance through the General Financial Aid Program. Now, you might be wondering, how do I apply to get a scholarship or a bursary through the Office of Student Financing? So I've aptly put right here the website that you can go on to ensure you, one, download the application. As we speak, the application is a paper form application, so you would have to download it and complete it. After you've completed, you print it, you sign it, and you submit the completed form to the Office of Student Financing. Now, suppose you're a student who is overseas, or you are a student who lives outside of Kingston and St. Andrew area, you can also send it in via Tara Couriers or a courier service that you use within the space, right? Once the application form is completed. And so if you have the chance now, I'd say either screenshot this or you can take a picture of it, right? So we're going to talk to you now as an incoming student, as a first-year student coming in, right? And so as a first-year student coming in, we know that when you go onto our website, you might be bombarded with all these scholarships. We have hundreds of scholarships that are available. And so because we want to ensure that we help you, we've pulled some of the scholarships that are particularly for first-year students. So this scholarship booklet, through the QR code, once you click on it, once you scan it, it takes you to a booklet that provides all the scholarships for first-year students based on your faculties, based on the faculties that you will be applying to. And those are scholarships particularly for first years, right? First-year students are eligible to apply to those. So I give you a minute just to look at that, yeah? Scan it, 30 seconds, scan, take a picture and so forth. So that's your booklet when you are coming in for you to apply for scholarships and bursaries. Now, we're going to look at available assistance by your faculties, right? And so we go by faculty because some of these scholarships are faculty-based. Based on the faculty that you're going into, there are scholarships that are particularly for you. What I always tell students as well, if you're applying for a scholarship that is faculty-based, if you decide to switch to another faculty, that scholarship is revoked. You cannot take these faculty-based scholarships to another faculty. So if you're applying for a scholarship that is strictly for one faculty, you have to ensure that you stay in that faculty once you get that scholarship. And these are some of them. So if you're in medical sciences, look at those. UWI Tarrant-Tagala, the IGL scholarship for nursing students, IGL for medicine, and some others. Merle Grant for medical science students. So if you're a student going into MBBS, which is the bachelor's in medicine, you want to make sure that these scholarships, if you do apply for that, you're staying in medicine. If you're in nursing and you get a nursing scholarship, that's where you have to stay, right? Social sciences, science and technology, faculty of sports and law, there are also specific ones for you. Humanities and education, engineering, they're all scholarships for you. You might think, well, I want to apply for scholarships that are cross faculties, that if I decide to change faculty, I can always take the scholarship with me if I maintain my GPA based on the scholarship requirements. And these are some of them, right? So we have the class of 96 bursary, 1969 bursary, Ines Morrison, and others. Principal Scholarship for Excellence, and that covers everything for you, tuition and miscellaneous expenses and so forth, right? So look at these. And remember, all of this information is on the Office of Student Financing website. So you will actually have this at your fingertips once you click on our website link. Now, I won't go into too much details about this, but as I had mentioned before, we have the federal student aid. So if you're a green card holder or you're a US citizen, this option is also available to you, right? Now, other options that are outside of the scope of our university offerings are JAMVAT. So JAMVAT pays 30% of your tuition costs, right? Not exceeding $350,000 per annum. And it's only for voluntary hours. Once you do the JAMVAT application, send that in and you're approved, and you do your 200 hours, that is guarantee money, right? So you also take a look at this, make sure that you go, find out when the JAMVAT application opens. And once you Google it, once you put it in Google, JAMVAT application period, you get that. Keep abreast. Once you're thinking about coming to UWI, ensure that you think about JAMVAT as an option, right? The next thing, if you are currently on path for those Jamaican students, and we're talking specifically to Jamaican students now, if you're on path in high school, when you come to UWI, path is extended to you for 4 years of your studies here, right? So, 3 years of your studies here, right? So once you apply to path and your application is in and you're approved, you get 100,000 from path towards your tuition. Now, path we normally collect application between August 1 and September 30. And that application form is on the Office of Student Financing website. So remember, once you're a beneficiary, 100,000 is available to you once you apply when you come to UWI. Current beneficiaries come into the university, gets 100,000, right? Also, you want to look at JAMVAT. Now, a very viable option to finance your education is student loan. Through the Student Loan Bureau, remember, you can do if you're a full or part-time student, you can get targeted loan. You can also do a pay-as-you-study loan for persons who are working and so forth. You can explore that option. Now, a lot of students shun from taking student loan, but listen, student loan is a very viable option to financing your education. So I'm encouraging you as new students, future Pelicans coming in, and explore this as an option. And guess what? No guarantor policy, effective when last April, right? And so these are some things that you need to take. Look at the application process. This is the student loan website. Make sure you go on it and see what is available to you, how you can apply, what are the criteria for applying, how much money do I need to come up with for, the application process and so forth. And although I say to students, make sure that your GPA is, above 2.0 or 2.5 and, so that you're eligible for scholarships and so forth, for you to maintain, to get the loan and maintain the loan at student loan, you just need 1.5 GPA. So look at student loan as an option. And for students who are needy, there's also a granting aid that you don't need to repay, right? So I've given you some contact details quickly before we wrap up. So we have the SLB website here, where the SLB is located, their email information, and their contact numbers that you can reach them on. SLB students, incoming Pelicans is a viable option at this point. You also want to know how to get in touch with us at the Office of Student Financing. So students who have come to Mona, we're in front of the assembly hall, and that's our website, and we have some telephone numbers here, which are cell numbers that you can call us on. We are available to speak to you, answer your questions, and so forth. And as we wrap today, I just want to say that success is achieved and maintained by those who try and keep trying. So ensure that any options for financial aid that you try, you just keep on trying. You might not get through at one the first try, but do not give up. And I want to say to you before I leave, just thank you for listening to me. We are looking forward to engaging with you at UA. Let us help you to take the next step as you come to UWI. So welcome, my future Pelicans.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, Miss Larmon. Thank you so very much for that. All right. You'll see where Ms. Larman just shared some information with us on some of the options that are available to finance your University of the West Indies degree. Of course, if you're a regional or international student, be sure to check the options available through your specific government or through your Ministry of Education or your Ministry of Finance. All right. So you will find some options there. Okay, remember to drop your questions in the chat. Just want to give a quick shout out to Daniel. Daniel, we see your question. We'll be answering your question a little bit later. So listen out for that response. We'll be answering that question live because we do believe that you are not the only one that will have that particular question. All right. So we'll be answering that question live in a little while, but be sure to put your questions in the chat. Our chat moderators are there. They'll be assisting as best as possible where they can to respond to the questions that you have, and we'll be answering some of those questions live. So, future Pelicans, have you ever thought about studying abroad? Let me know in the chat. How about studying outside of the Caribbean? Or studying in multiple countries? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Have we ever thought about any of that? Let's hear it in the chat. With the UWI Mona, this is all possible. So while you craft your responses in the chat, Mr. Jamani Dunn from the International Students Office will now share with you. Mr. Dunn?
All right. Thank you very much, Tashika. Much appreciated. And good evening, future Pelicans. I hope you're all doing very well. Really excited to be with you today. So again, my name is Jamani Dunn, and I'm the Assistant Registrar within the Admissions and International Office here at the UWI Mona. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Ms. Hermin Terrell, who is the Senior Administrative Assistant within our office, who will assist with some of the questions that you might have. So you may see her in the chat and she may answer some of the questions later. So we're very, very happy, of course, to connect with you today and share a little bit about the exciting international opportunities that we have here at the UWI Mona and how you can use them to get the most out of your higher education experience. Right, so we understand that this stage of life, you're faced with a major crossroads where you're confronted by many, many big questions and big decisions. So, what do you do with the rest of your life? I don't know if there's a bigger question than that. There's also, what do you want to study? And as Tashika mentioned, do you want to study in Jamaica or do you want to study abroad? So we'll examine this a little more. So, of course, studying abroad has some really key and important advantages. So, of course, you can, broaden your horizons and it can open up a whole new world of possibilities and opportunities for you. You can also expand your social and your professional network. You can increase your marketability and your competitiveness in terms of the local and global job market. Some of you will be honing new language skills. It will also boost your self-esteem. And it will force you to learn new skills that will enhance your sense of independence and your ability to do your thing out there in the world. So there are many, many benefits. Of course, studying abroad comes with its fair share of risks. I don't know how many parents you might have in the session, But of course, there were situations like with the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine that left many of our Jamaican students pursuing, higher degrees abroad, stranded and displaced, and their education was unfortunately disrupted. Of course, you also have to consider some of the costs associated with studying abroad full-time. So here's just a quick slide that looks at some of the relevant costs associated with both tuition and living expenses in the US, UK, and Canada. And as you can see there, the cost can be tremendous. You're considering things like, your tuition, transportation, food, insurance, books, and a whole host of other things. And of course, it can be quite expensive. And so unfortunately for many, it can be out of reach or seemingly out of reach. Now, if you contrast that with your tuition that you're paying here at the UWI Mona campus, and of course the cost of living in Jamaica. So even if you're a regional student or an international student, the costs here are really, really favorable. So that's something to consider. So as you weigh up this decision about studying abroad, you're looking at things like the quality of the education that you're looking to gain, whether that degree is recognized, institutions, in terms of if the institution is recognized as well, locally, regionally, and globally. You're looking at if the region that you're traveling to and studying in is safe and welcoming. And also, some of you may be planning to study abroad, so you want to kind of think of that. And if you plan to live abroad, for example, you want to consider that as one of the key decision makers. You also want to look at the costs, as I mentioned before. And most importantly, you have to look at whether you yourself are ready for that experience. So there is a solution, as Tashika mentioned. We at the University of the West Indies offer what we like to call the best of both worlds. So you can get a first-class education at an institution that is globally ranked and recognized as one of the best in the world here at home for a fraction of the cost. And you can also gain the valuable, transformative international study abroad experiences by tapping into our exchange program that we offer here through the international office at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. Now, accessing this program, there's some eligibility requirements you have to be mindful of. So the program is open to registered students, full-time students at that, both undergraduate and graduate. Now, students must have completed at least 1 year, 1 full year, with a minimum GPA of 3.0 or a B average. Students also should not have any disciplinary actions against them or any financial holds in place. So you can keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the program, students would pay their tuition fee to the university, to your home institution. So that would be to the University of the West Indies. So you will have to pay that extremely expensive tuition that the partner institution would be charging their students. So that's a big bonus. The program can be for 1 semester, which is about 4 months or so, or a full academic year. And students are only allowed, as I mentioned, to go in their first year or in the final semester of their final year. So if you're doing a 3-year program, you can either go in year 2 or the first semester of year 3. Now, you want to keep in mind that the opportunities and placements that are available are competitive. So you need to kind of hedge your bets. I think it would be good for you to also contemplate looking at some of the possibilities, looking at countries and institutions that are maybe further afield and less in demand. You also, of course, need to budget accordingly. So you need to think about the relevant costs. So while the tuition fee is waived, there are some other costs that you need to contend with, such as many of which Ms. Larman would have mentioned. But you need to consider those as an investment in your future. Now, there are some funding opportunities that you can benefit from that can help to cushion some of the costs, although they're not guaranteed. So you just need to have a comprehensive and full view of what the actual costs are and plan accordingly. Now, through the international office, we have partnerships with 54 institutions in around 24 countries globally. And here's just a quick snapshot to just give you an idea of the diversity of options available to you. And of course, we're working continuously to expand those options and provide new opportunities. So you can also visit our website using the URL at the bottom of the screen. So just to get a full list of all of our relevant partners. Now, in terms of our office, we provide support to you through the exchange program in a number of ways. So we, of course, help you to select your host institution and the country that is the best fit. Would help work through the various stages of the application process, both for the program here locally at the University of the West Indies, and also supporting you and providing guidance to you when you apply to the host institution. We also, can provide some guidance in terms of applying for funding and scholarships. And of course, we host a pre-departure session that will provide some critical guidance just before you go, teaching you things like, about the administrative steps you need to take before you go, guidance in terms of traveling, budgeting, and of course, taking care of your mental health and well-being, which is always really critical. Now, in closing, I just want to share a few of the images from our students who would have had amazing experiences as exchange out students as part of the program. So you see some here, you see the big smiles. And I mean, we've seen students come in, they're never that sure, or, they're a little apprehensive about getting into the program. But when they come back, they have a whole new sense of self. And, they really have a myriad of experiences that they come back with that are really just jet setting them for the future. We do have a brief video to share with you from one of our students. I think it will be queued up shortly.
At the University of the West Indies Mona campus, you can study locally but get an international experience. The best of both worlds. I am Tamad Wright and I am studying at the Western University of Ontario in Canada. The University of the West Indies, your place to shine.
All right, excellent. So that can be you as well. So really and truly, thank you very much for your attention and for considering the University of the West Indies. If you have any additional questions or if you need any additional information, please feel free to reach out to us. The contact details are on the screen. We do have a WhatsApp number where you can reach us and ask your questions and get a quick response. So you can take quick note of that. It's 876-852-0160. So thank you again, and we do look forward to seeing you on campus and serving you. All the best. Thanks, Ms. Taylor. Back to you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Jamani. Jamani Dunn speaking there on the study abroad options available to you once you become a UWI Mona student. Remember to drop your questions in the chat. And since we're on the topic of studying abroad, I just wanted to share just a quick reminder with you that the University of the West Indies here at the UWI, we are a local institution. However, we are internationally acclaimed. We are internationally known. And so we are training you to succeed anywhere across the globe. So you can use your degree anywhere in the world. Your degree is recognized, your degree is fully accredited. So we are training you to succeed globally. And as you prepare to transition and to succeed globally, we also want to just touch quickly on our foreign policy or foreign language policy. So on entry or before you leave the University of the West Indies, you must have done a foreign language. And not to worry, we have options. So let's say you did your Spanish or your French or another foreign language before coming into the university, you'd have met that requirement. But let's say you didn't get to do a foreign language before entry into UWI. We have several options for you, so you don't need to worry about anything. We have from Korean to Japanese to sign language to a myriad of other languages, a myriad of other modern languages. All right, so you will need to do that foreign language or a foreign language for at least a semester before you exit the university. All right, because again, we're training you not just for Jamaica, not just for the Caribbean, but to succeed anywhere across the globe. All right, we will now move on to what I know most of us will consider the main event. All right, how to apply to UWI. So you've heard about financing your university education. You have heard about studying abroad and the options for studying abroad. You've heard about our foreign language policy, and of course, you were reminded that the UWI is the number one university in Jamaica in the Caribbean, and we're among the top 1.5% of best universities in the world. So now, how do you apply to the UWI? What are the requirements? When will I know if I get in? How will I know if I'm accepted? What is a minor? What can I do? Two majors at once? What is this commitment fee that I'm hearing about? So our senior assistant registrar, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen, is here to answer these and other burning questions. So Dr. Marsha Allen, over to you.
Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our future Pelicans. So yes, I work in the admissions and international office, and we're the ones who process your application. And even when you get in, that's not the end of our relationship, because we prepare student verification letters and forms. So we will have this lifelong relationship until your tenure here. So I'm going to answer some questions. So we had put together some typical questions that are asked, and I'm going to ask Miss Taylor to just lead the question so that I can respond. And in the meantime, if there's anything that we have left out, you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat. But we have some common questions that we come across quite often. And so we just want to share them with you in case you also want to know the answers.
All right, awesome. So the first question here is, where can the application form be found?
Okay, so for those who do not know, you haven't put in your application yet, but you're here just to listen to us and to make up your mind. The application form can be found on our UWI website. It's on our homepage, www.uwimona.edu.jm. If you click on a link that says current students, future students, wherever you go, it's all over our webpage. Just click the link that says apply now. So it's all over the UWI page. Whichever page you go, you will see it. It's also on some faculty pages. And it's an online application form, by the way. And the process is you have to have your email address to create the account. Once you create that account, an email would be sent to you from our IT department verifying that you had signed up for our application form. Once they send you that verification email, you can log back in and continue the application process. Now, there are different sections on the form, right? And we ask that you complete each section. You're going to see a red X for each section. And once that section is completed and accepted, that X then turns to a green tick, meaning that you have completed that section. And then you submit your application. There are some persons who forget to click submit. Submit your application. And once you do so, an acknowledgement letter would be sent to the email address that you had used to create the application form. Please read the contents of the acknowledgement letter. There are specific instructions to the programs that you had applied to, specific documents that are needed, and how you go about certifying your documents.
Another question here is, let's say you want to come in for August of this year, August 2025. When is the application deadline?
Okay, as you had mentioned earlier, if anybody missed it, it's going to be the end of January. Now, we ask that you do not wait until the end of January, the 31st of January, on that very night, to submit your application and to upload your documents. Reason being, our system, right? We may have a system overload and you don't want to be in that panic mode for that night. So you go ahead, complete your application form. There's no application fee. Ensure that you upload the certified documents. For those who are in school, you can ask your guidance counselor or your principal's office to certify those documents. Then you can scan and upload in a PDF format. When you are saving that scanned document, do not use any characteristics, any hyphen, just a straightforward name should be used, or else you think it is uploaded, but from our end, we are not seeing anything. Also, for those who are in high school, please remember to put the subjects that you'll be sitting this year so that we can get those results directly from CXC and in time to process your application.
Awesome. Another question here is, what are the common causes of delays in the admissions process?
Okay, I mentioned earlier one of them. Persons complete the application form, but they do not click the submit button. You do not click the submit button, it's gonna be in limbo. Another delay could be caused by the uncertified documents or missing documents. So a person submit an application, but we never receive any documentation. And there are those who upload documents, but they're not certified by the relevant persons. And I need to point out that we do not accept certified documents from justices of the peace for those who are in Jamaica. For those who are in our sister islands, we ask that you visit one of our campuses. We have several campuses in the countries. And so you can visit any of the UE campus and ask for your document to be certified. All right. Another reason that could delay your application is that there are persons who register for CXC and they may abbreviate their name. They may use initials, but when they apply to us, right, it's not in the same format or using the same names, all right? And so what happens are they may put, sometimes they do put their wrong date of birth, right? Sometimes they make mistake. Now, when we're getting the results from CXC, everything has to match. So what you had registered with at CXC, you need to use the same credentials to apply to us so that everything is matching. So take, for instance, your middle name is Marshall. Some persons may apply to us with Marshall, but when they had registered with CXC, they had just put M. So these are the things, or they mix up the days, the month and the day for their birthday. So nothing is matching. So we ask that you just check everything properly. And if you're not hearing from us, then you can always reach out to us. We do not want any screenshot of documents, and we do not want any what else now, blurry documents, right? Because we're not able to use those. Those are not authentic. And you know why it is important for you to upload your documents and certified also? Because we have had instances whereby persons come to us years after and they want a copy of the documents that they had submitted to us, whether it be the birth certificate or the academic transcripts, because they may have moved location over the years. They may have lost the documents one way or another. And so they need these documents desperately to apply for the official ones, but they can't remember. So we ask that you give us these certified documents so that when we hand it to you, and should you hand it to a third party, then we can always say, yes, these are authentic documents. Another reason for the delay in the admissions process is that people tend to apply for programs they're not qualified for. So persons do not read the entry requirements for the program, right? And what it means is that whereas we're processing applications for qualified applicants, those who are not eligible for the programs that they had applied to will be sent an email to say that, sorry, you were not eligible for the programs that you had applied for. And so we give you a listing of all the programs that you're eligible for. And so you're supposed to select those that you're interested in. And then you would then now have to go through another selection process. So these are the things that will cause a delay in the processing of your application. So please pay attention.
All right. I am seeing a few questions coming in here from the chat. So Daniel Peart had the first question here. And Daniel wants to know, when applying for the medical sciences program, one, who can complete the reference? And two, does the chosen reference also need to sign the affidavit, or can another person do that?
All right, so for undergraduate students, and we're talking to undergraduate students now, the referee or the references, these are not applicable for undergraduate students, except I think for social work. The social work program will require references, but certainly for medicine, you do not need any reference. And I'm assuming that he's asking about the financial questionnaire. Is that what he's referring to as the affidavit?
It would appear so.
Right. So for the financial question, that's something completely different. Persons can sign off on it, those who are going to support you financially, because you'd have to indicate where those source of funds are coming from and to provide the supporting documents.
All right, I'm seeing another question here in the chat from Tawana. Tawana wants to know, how do you apply to do a double major?
All right, so for the double major, you declare your majors when you enroll in September. So when you're applying directly to your major. So take, for instance, somebody is applying to social sciences, marketing, or to science and technology, biochemistry. Those are your majors. If you want to add another one, when you enroll in September, then through the faculty, you would make that request. And the faculty will process your request for that major. And remember that you can have double major. You can also have a major and a minor, or you can have one major and two minors. So, but you have to think about your ability, your capability to take on this load. But having a major and a minor makes you more marketable. And so I would encourage that for those whose programs can allow you to, because there are some programs that will not allow you to take on an additional major or a minor. So be mindful of that. And that would be in the medical programs and also engineering, law. And there are some programs that banking and finance, you can do a major and a minor or a double major. So in that case, you might have to use your summer period to take on these additional courses. Your degree may not say minor, right? But at least your transcript would have them.
All right. Another question here is, how and when will I know if I've been offered admission?
All right, so we process applications on a continuous basis. Applications would have opened from November last year, and we have been processing those that can be processed. For some programs, though, we are holding out until the end of January when applications have closed, especially those that are quota-based. When we say quota-based, it means that we can only take in a certain number of persons. Now, we hold out until the end of January. In February, what we will do is to do the shortlisting, because each person will then be ranked according to certain criteria for the program. And based on that ranking, there's a shortlisting and then the selection. There are also some programs that have additional requirements. And so you may need the second unit of CAPE in order to be eligible. You may also be invited to an interview. You may also have to do some dental observation for physical therapy. You have to do some hours of physical therapy in a public and private institution. So there are some programs that have additional requirements which need to be completed before you can be considered. And that is why it is important for you to read the instructions in your acknowledgement letter, as well as the different handbooks for the different faculties. Read up on the programs to see what is required.
Great. All right, I have another question here. I'll word it a little differently, and it's the second time I'm seeing it in the chat in relation to mathematics. So for those programs that actually require that you have math in order to enter the program, what does one do if they do not have that CSEC math? What are the options?
All right, and that's a very important question. There are many persons who tend to apply to the Faculty of Social Sciences, the business faculty, but you need to have maths, especially if those programs fall under the MSBM, that's the Mona School of Business and Management umbrella. So marketing, entrepreneurship, accounting, right? All of those require math, CSEC math. Just a pass. You don't have to get grade 1. Grade 3 is quite fine. The Faculty of science and technology also requires math, right? Understandable. Now, if it is that you do not have math, there are two things that you can do. Well, here at the university, you have external means where you can do your CSEC. But if not, we offer a course called Remedial Maths, and it's offered in the Department of Economics, right? And that program can be offered in the summer. So you can also enroll as a specially admitted student in the summer, pursue that course. If you pass, then that can be used in lieu of the CSEC math. If it is that you're applying to the Department of Government for one of their programs, there is a built-in math course that can be done. And so you would do that while you're in the program. But for all the other programs outside of the Department of Government, you need to have the math before you can be considered for an offer.
All right. We have a question here on commitment fees, but let me just expand that question a little. So what is the commitment fee? When does one pay the commitment fee? Do I get back my commitment fee? Let us hear about the commitment fees. And another question, if you are provisionally accepted, so for example, you're provisionally accepted in law, are you required to pay that commitment fee?
Okay, so I'll answer the last one first. No. Right? So once you get a provisional acceptance, do not go ahead and pay the commitment fee unless you are sure that you will be coming to the University of the West Indies and you had applied to other programs and had received offers. Okay? So the commitment fee, it's just a down payment. It goes towards securing your space. It's a down payment towards the rest of your tuition. It can go towards your miscellaneous fees, right? Currently, it's at $35,000. And so it can go towards your miscellaneous fees. It sits there, should in case you decide that you want to defer your offer coming next year, it's going to remain on your account. Should you register in September, and like I said, it goes towards your miscellaneous fees. And it's non-refundable, by the way. So think about it carefully.
Awesome. And I have a question here from, well, let me also expand this question. Where can one find information on the different programs that are offered and the program requirements?
Okay, so I do believe that there is a quick reference online. It's a quick reference booklet that gives you, a summary of our programs in the different faculties and the entry requirements. You can also get more detailed information on the programs and the different courses in the individual faculty handbooks. And the faculty handbooks can be found on our homepage. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll see faculty handbook. You can also go to the individual faculty websites and you will see the faculty handbook. And that handbook has extensive information on the individual programs, entry requirements. It also has regulations for students. So when you enroll, each faculty has a different set of regulations, rules and policies that must follow in terms of, the different pass rates for the courses, how you go about registering, if you need to withdraw, if you are required to withdraw from the program, if you want to declare your major. So these handbooks are quite useful for our incoming students and the present students.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Anthony. The next question up is, what types of admission offers can I receive?
Okay, so you have different types of admission offers. You have you can be normally matriculated, meaning that you are given an offer as a full-time student, means that you have met all the requirements. You can be given an offer as part-time student, lower matriculant, right? That's lower matriculation. However, I think we need to make the distinction that although you are given an offer as a part-time student, there are some persons who are quite eligible for a full-time offer. It's just that they chose a part-time, chose to study part-time. But if they're eligible, then they can move from part-time to full-time. There are some persons who may not meet the full-time requirements, that's normal matriculation. And so what we do is to change your application record to part-time, and we offer you part-time. And for some faculties, if you have completed, say, a year, 2 semesters plus summer, and you have gotten, you have passed about 24 credits or so, then you can be eligible for a full-time offer and continue. Part-time studies do not mean evening classes only, because there are some faculties that although you are part-time, you have a part-time registration status, your classes are held from morning until evening. All right. So you just have to be mindful of that. That part-time, don't get down. Part-time doesn't mean evening, doesn't mean night classes.
If your documents are uploaded after your application is submitted, will they be seen by the admission section?
Right. So once they are uploaded, yes, we see them. That is why I'm saying to you that when you save them, choose the name without any punctuation or any characteristic, any symbol, nothing at all. And it must be saved as PDF so that we can see it. For those who do not upload documents, we will contact you, email or otherwise, to say that you need to upload documents. And if they're not certified, then we'll tell you that you should get them certified. Of course, doing that is going to take up some time when we could be processing your application. Right? So just follow the instructions so that when we reach your application record, it's good to go and we can move full speed ahead.
A two-pronged question. One, is a high school transcript required for entry? That's one. And if let's say you are a graduate of another university or college, after submitting your application, when is the transcript submitted?
Okay, so for high schoolers here in the Caribbean region, as long as you have your CSEC and your CAPE, we do not require high school transcripts. And a lot of persons tend to flood their school offices asking for transcripts. We do not need high school transcripts. However, for those who are in the States or elsewhere and, they may do the SATs, then yes, we use the SAT scores alongside the high school transcript. For those who are graduates of other institutions, take for instance, college or university, then when you submit the application form to us, or even before you submit them, you can ask that institution to send the transcripts directly to us. It should not come to you and then you open it and upload it, because then the transcript would be considered unofficial. It has to be an official transcript coming from one institution to the next. So it can be mailed to us or it can be emailed, but it has to come from the registrar's office at that institution. For those who are doing associate degrees, wait until your associate degree is awarded. Okay, because we can't do anything with your transcript to say, because you'll be having pending subjects. We want a complete transcript, and we also want to see that you have completed the program and the associate degree was awarded, because we need that GPA.
Right. Can you share a bit of information with us on the English language proficiency test? When is it needed? Who needs to do it?
Okay, so you do not need to pass the ELPT when you're applying, and it will not deter us from giving you an offer. However, when you're registering, your English language, your CSEC English language status will determine what you would register for. So if it is that you have a grade 1 in CSEC English, you would not be required to sit the ELPT exam. If you have grade 1 and 2 in communication studies in sixth form, you will not be required to sit the ELPT. All right. There are some stipulations about what courses you should choose, which, when you're registering. And so information about those English language courses when you're registering, that will be done during your academic advising period. You can also read about it in the handbook for the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Now, the ELPT exam, for those who have to do it, that test is offered throughout the year. Probably about 4 times for the year. And those dates can be found on the Department of Language, Linguistics and Philosophy website in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. So those dates are there, as well as the registration instructions.
Alright. I have a question here on the certificate. So let's say they have not received their official CAPE certificate. What can be done? What can they submit, or what do they need to do? What do they upload?
All right, so the preliminary slips are what persons normally get. And whereas you can upload them, we actually verify, we cross-check them with the results that we get directly from CXC. Preliminary slips that are over a year, we do not accept, because by then you should have received your CXC certificate, right? For those who have been out of the school system for quite a while and you can't find your certificate, you can't find the prelim, well, we wouldn't have accepted the prelim. But you can request a transcript from the overseas examination section on Piccadilly Road.
All right. Let's see. What if an applicant uploaded all the documents for their first choice, but not for their other choices? Will they still get accepted into
All right.
that first choice?
Okay, so remember that when you're applying, you can apply to up to 4 programs, right? And if it is that you wish to add more programs, then you just reach out to the admission section, just send us an email, and we can add the other programs that you want to be added to your application record. Now, once you upload the documents, it's not really to your first choice. It's just on your application record. So there's nothing to worry about. Whatever it is that you upload, it goes for everywhere. We're seeing everything. And so it applies to all the programs that you would have applied to.
Can I defer my acceptance to a later semester?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But for some programs, not for the medical programs, not for law, but certainly for humanities and education, social sciences, yes, you can. For some programs in science and technology and other areas, and sport, right? But for some programs, though, you have to bear in mind that should you enter in second semester, you may not be able to do all the required courses because some courses may not be offered in second semester, or rather, some of the courses offered in first semester would be prerequisite for those to be offered in second semester. So you're not able to register for them if you do not have those prerequisite courses completed and passed. All right.
Right. And well, you would have answered whether one can apply to more than one program.
Yes, you can.
All right. How does one accept their offer of for admission?
Okay, so everything is totally online, and that is why we say the email address that you had used to create that application form, you have to ensure that it is kept active. All communication will be sent to that email address, and that includes your offer of entry. Or if there is an issue with your application record, that is what we're going to use to communicate with you. We know that persons tend to change their cell phone, the numbers. And so what we want is for you to continue to make that email address active, not only throughout the application period, but up until when you enroll as a student. And then UWI will also give you an email address, right? But at some point, you must keep your email addresses active because all communication from the university will be sent to that email account. So your offer letter will be emailed to you, and the application portal that you have created using that email address, you can log back into that portal, and all communication, all documents, so all offer letters, all emails from us, all required forms will be uploaded in that portal, and you can access it years from now as long as you keep that email address active.
Will there be any issues for a Jamaican student or a Jamaican citizen who attended an international school outside of Jamaica and only has SAT scores?
Well, we do accept SAT scores in conjunction with that high school, so that would not be a problem. It depends, though, on the program that the person is applying to, because you can't use SAT scores to get into professional programs. And by professional programs, I mean law, medical sciences, right? You can't use SAT scores to get into those programs. but you can get into another faculty and then ask for a transfer to, whatever program that you wish.
All right. On that, how does nationality affect, say, your tuition fees?
That's very important. So a lot of persons do not realize the relationship between your nationality and the fees that you will be charged. So take, for instance, there are persons who may have been born overseas, and yes, that is your nationality. However, bearing in mind that our tuition for some nationalities, it is subsidized by the different governments. So take, for instance, you have been living here in Jamaica, you have been attending school here, but you were born overseas. And so you would have put that your nationality is USA, right? You're an American. However, you're going to be charged the full economic cost. And by the full economic cost, I mean the total cost of the program, which can be, Tashika, what would it be now? 10 times. Right. It's a lot of times the Jamaican rate. So if you want to get the Jamaican rate, which is subsidized for some programs, then yes, what you would do is to contact PICA, and you would go through the process, apply for your citizenship or your nationality to be changed to Jamaican. All right. So you can be naturalized as a Jamaican. Once you get that document from PICA, then you take it into the admission section. There are some persons who wait until way down in the semester or way down in the year, the academic year, before they check the system and realize that they were being charged international rates. Now, at that point, depending on how far down you are in the semester or the academic year, the change can only take effect after a certain time. So somebody who's going to submit that document from PICA, say in November, just before exams, are going to start in December. Unfortunately, that change will only take effect for second semester. You still have to find first semester fees.
All right.
So start working on that change right now.
All right, I am looking for a question here. I saw a question from Belize. All right, so we have a question from Elena from Belize. And Elena wants to know, if one has an associate's degree in biology and chemistry, do they still need to have CXCs in those subjects for the nursing program specifically?
Well, yes. Yes, they would still need to meet at the CSEC level, those requirements. Of course, there is a selection committee in place. And so part of the selection process with nursing is persons are invited to do an interview. And possibly during that interview process, it all depends on what the committee members will ask. And so maybe yes or no, you could be considered for an offer, but it all depends on, they would have to look holistically at your application record, your experience, and all of that. And it all depends on where you're going to be licensed also, because if it's going to be licensed by the Nursing Council here in Jamaica, then yes, you would need those C6 subjects to be eligible.
I think you may have touched on this a little earlier, but what does a provisional offer mean?
So a provisional offer is a part one of your offer, right? So take, for instance, we give provisional offers for some programs that require the second unit of CAPE. So based on your results in your unit 1, we can proceed to give you a provisional offer with certain conditions. And those conditions would stipulate that you either get the same grades or better in order to get a full offer, a firm offer. A provisional offer only says that right at this stage now you're eligible for an offer. So do your part in getting the same grades or better in order to get that full offer. With a provisional offer, you cannot register. You cannot select your courses, all right? So bear that in mind. There are some persons who would apply for accommodation on hall. If you have provisional, you may not be considered for a space. If it is that you had applied to other programs and you had received offers, then I would advise you to accept that offer so that a room could be secured for you if you're sure that you're coming to UWI, whether you get into the program with the provisional or not.
All right. Let's say there is an issue or something that you want to change on your application. Do you withdraw your application, edit, resubmit? How do you go about adjusting your application after submission?
All right. So once you submit your application form, that is it. You're not able to make any changes. You may be able to go back in for some persons. The system may allow you to go back in, and you may be able to change, or you think you had changed that information on the application form, but it's not registering from our end. And so do not, once you submit, that is it. But what you need to do is to then contact the admissions office and send us an email for us to amend your application, and we will go ahead and do so. So it can be amended.
Great. Are interviews required for all programs?
Not all programs, only selected few. So nursing is one of them. Dentistry is one of them. Social work is another. And it all depends on if you're borderline, the selection committee may invite you in for an interview.
How long does it take to process my application?
As long as the application form is complete, it can be done within a few seconds, a few minutes, right? So it all depends on the program requirements. If it is that you had applied and you have both units you have met all the academic requirements, you have submitted the certified documents, then we can proceed, as long as it's not a quota-based program. Because quota-based programs, we have to wait until applications have closed. We do a ranking, and then we do a pre-selection or shortlisting, and then the interview, the selection committee meets, and we make our selection.
What if I apply and get rejected? 1, can I reapply? And 2, will you tell me if I'm rejected?
Okay, so if you had applied, and some persons do only one program, right? And some persons would apply to more than one programs, right? We process all programs at different times because there's different faculties. So you will receive offers at different times. So you may receive an offer before another one. Doesn't mean that the others are not being processed. If you are not qualified for the program, yes, we do advise you. If it is that you're eligible for another program, we're going to go ahead and communicate with you that, look, you weren't eligible for the program that you had applied for, but these are the programs that you're eligible for. Kindly indicate which ones you'd like to be considered, and we'll proceed to process those applications. So we try to give an offer to everybody. We don't want to turn away anybody. But it may not be to the program of your choice.
Okay. On the topic of offers, how will I actually receive my offer letter?
Your offer letter will be sent electronically. And so you need to keep that email address that you had used to create the application form active, because that is how you will receive an email, and then it will tell you that you are successful. Click here to accept your offer. So there's a link in the offer letter itself, as well as you can log back into the portal and accept your offer. You can also see a copy of that offer letter and the email that was sent to you. And you will receive offer letters for individual programs that you had applied for and are eligible for.
All right. Can I use just CSECs to apply?
It depends on the program. So yes, there are some programs that will accept you with just CSEC. However, it will be on a part-time basis, except for the Faculty of Science and Technology. They have a 4-year program. And for the 4-year program, the 4-year program is for persons with just CSEC or with 1 unit of CAPE. But the professional programs, definitely not CSEC.
All right.
And as I explained earlier, it would be a part-time offer. Doesn't mean that it's going to be evening classes. It just means that you'll be taking on lesser credits compared to a full-time person. So the maximum number of credits that you can register for would be 9, which would be about three courses.
All right. And just to backtrack a little to SATs, you did mention that while you may have SATs, some programs will not accept the SATs. Can you just remind us of what those programs are? And does the student still put the SAT scores if they have the SATs along
Okay,
with their CSEC and CAPE?
okay. So this person is asking that in addition to the CSEC and CAPE, they have SATs?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we just take the better of the grades. So if it is that they're eligible for the SAT, I mean, based on the programs, if the SATs can get them in or the CAPE, we will use one, not both, because one or the other would qualify them. But combining them together, no. And the programs that will not take SATs would be the professional programs, the law and the medical sciences, engineering.
All right. What happens if my degree is pending?
So if you're in a degree program and it's pending, we wait until the degree is awarded because we need the GPA.
All right. What happens if I fail to meet the conditions of my provisional offer?
So if you fail to meet the conditions, then you would be considered for that program in that moment of time, right? But if you're eligible for other programs, you can take up that offer and then try again. You can do a transfer, or if you wish to apply again, as long as you meet the requirements.
Can I register for courses with a provisional offer?
No, you can't.
Okay. All right. What is the minimum qualification for admission?
Okay, so you have different levels of matriculation, different levels of entry requirements. First of all, an applicant should meet the university matriculation requirements, which would be at the CSEC level. And then, as I said before, you have different layers, additional requirements depending on the program and the faculty. So you also have faculty requirements, and then you also have program requirements or departmental requirements. So it all varies. It depends on the program that you're applying for. But you must have the CSEC, not necessarily CAPE, because we also have international baccalaureate. We have associate degrees. We also have degree applicants. And some programs and departments are subject specific. So not just having the number of subjects, but they would be subject specific. Take, for instance, science and technology, you need to have some science background in the sciences. So whether it is in the chemistry, physics, biology, right? You need to have at least two of those.
When will the August 2025 or the new academic year, when will the fees be available, including those for dorms and so on? When will those fees be available?
They're usually available, I would say, by about May. By about May. In the meantime, though, the current academic year, those fees are available on our website. And so you can use them as an estimate. We don't usually jump too far if the fees are going to be increased, but you can use those as an estimate.
All right, awesome. And finally, what should I do if I have questions about my application?
Well, you can contact us, so you can email us admissions@uwimona.edu.jm. You can also call us 927-2779 or 970-1002-4. Or you can call through the UWI switchboard 927-1660-9.
All right, thank you so very much, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen. Again, for those numbers and those contact information, our moderators will just drop them in the chat as a reminder. You can reach out to admissions, you can reach out to recruitment via email or via the phone numbers shared, and we'll share those again with you in the chat. Is there anything else that you need to add, Dr. Morgan Allen, before we wrap finally?
Can't think of anything right now, Tashika.
All right, not a problem. Great. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Dr. Morgan Allen. And again, if you If you hop to the chat, the moderators are there. Yes, I'm seeing.
Right. I just remember that, as I stated before, that you may receive more than one offer as long as you're eligible. And so we ask that for each offer received that you indicate a decision. So take for instance, maybe you just added 2 or 3 other programs just by chance, but your heart is set on medicine. So if we sent you an offer for science and technology and you're not interested, just click reject. So there are 3 decisions when you receive an offer that we ask that you make. So you can either put accept, reject, or accept and defer. And defer would mean to the next academic year. But please indicate the decision for each offer. If it is that later on you change your mind, because there are some students who would go ahead and accept medicine. And I should also point out that medicine has 2 fee categories, one which is sponsored and one which is not. The one that is not sponsored is $28,000. And there are some students, yes, I got into medicine, and I accepted the full fee for the $28,000 without speaking to mommy and daddy. Now, when September comes, mommy and daddy can't find the $28,000 per year. And so, you say, what must I do? Because I already accepted. You can always reach out to us in admissions. And what we do is to send you, change that decision and allow you to go back into the portal and accept the program of your second choice, or whichever program it is that you wanted to accept, considering that you are not able to take up that medicine offer. And all high school students just leaving sixth form, the sponsored slots are only 55 spaces. No high school student just leaving would be given a sponsored slot, right? So bear that in mind. The offer that you will get is going to be full fee, $28,000. You will not get the sponsored slot, okay? However, you have a choice. You can either wait out the year as long as you meet the requirements for a sponsored slot, right? Or you can come into SciTech, whether full-time or part-time, just to be with your friends and also to get a feel of what university life is all about, right? So you can come in full-time, part-time, do some courses that you will never get a chance if it is a medicine you want to do, or you could do some business courses. The choice is yours.
All right. Thank you again, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen. This has been Pelican Chats. I hope that you've gotten all your burning questions answered. But if not, of course, our moderators would have put the contact information so you can follow up if you have any additional questions that may pop up as you go along in this process of your tertiary level journey, or preparing for tertiary level education and preparing to be a Pelican, a UWI Mona Pelican. You can, of course, share those questions with us via email. You'll see the email address or addresses in the chat, whether it is in relation to student recruitment, admissions, international study abroad opportunities, whether it is in relation to financing your education and financing options. And of course, the websites are there, the links are there, the contact numbers are there in the chat. So be sure to screenshot or write those down, because those will be critical going forward. All right. So thank you once again. Thank you so very much for joining us for this edition of Pelican Chats. This has been a UWI Mona Application Assistance Information Session. Of course, this session will be available to you on our YouTube channel, on our UWI MonaMedia. But we are well over the time that we had allotted for this program. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking the time, and we look forward to seeing you at the UWI Mona. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you, and have a great night.